right, it is time. I call the February meeting for the Board of Education to order. Welcome, everyone. Got a nice crowd tonight. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Can I get a second? A second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Do we have anybody for open forum?
We do not, sir.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Anyone?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Can I get a second?
I will second it.
All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. All right. Approval and transfer and payment of bills. Any questions?
Of particular interest, you guys would have seen a lot of invoices from Hometown up the hill. We just received, I don't know, maybe 25 invoices at once that were scattered over a long period of time. So we're having to pay those all at once. It's just because we got them all at once. They'll look really spread out like we're behind, but we received them all at one time, and so we're catching up with some old invoices.
All right. Any other questions on that?
What's the, do you have for lawn care, was that for cutting grass?
Yes.
That's the only one that.
So,
was ordinary.
Jason cuts the outfield year-round for baseball and softball and kind of does all that for us.
So was that in advance or was that for last season?
That's for last season.
Okay. All right.
I was curious, there was like a check written to ourselves, and it was, would that be, it looked like it was like
for milk and stuff.
milk and juice. I think it maybe was like, would that
Oh.
be Title I?
Yeah, it was probably it was probably Title I night where we paid the kitchen. It's for our accounting purposes.
Okay.
Where we pay the kitchen for the milk and stuff that they order. It keeps our books and our programs balanced
Okay.
so that we know what each program costs. So that is a Title I cost, but it became a food service encumbrance the moment that we chose to buy it there instead of, say, Thriftway. So
Yeah.
to keep our inner house balanced, they write a check across, and then that way, for things like that, Title I federal funds, we can request reimbursement under those circumstances and actually get a check back from it.
Okay.
I saw 14,000 for football helmets.
Yeah, that was reconditioning. We have to do that probably. A little bit of the helmets every so often have to be reconditioned. By law, we can only use them for so long.
I think it's like every 3 years, isn't it, or something?
About that, yeah.
Big part of them.
We'd be up against it. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Elementary report.
Good evening, everyone. Super excited to be back here to share some exciting news with you guys. First off, our enrollment's sitting about 300. So we've had a lot of kids move out, but also a lot of kids move in, so it's stayed pretty even. Last year at this time, just to give you a reference, we were sitting around 277. So still up quite a bit in our enrollment in the elementary. That does include our pre-K, so pre-K through 5th grade. Some celebrations. Our students have been working really hard to meet attendance goals. We have been hit a little hard here lately with all the illness going around, but this year they have really been dedicated to meeting those goals and excited. So that's cool to see, and hopefully everyone will feel better soon and we'll see that rise again. I just want to also shout out our student leadership team. They have done such a great job greeting our students in the morning, at both sets of doors, helping with PTO Valentine's Day sucker sales, helping run the morning assemblies. They're riding the morning assemblies. They are really just taking on a big role. I met with them this week to talk about some end of the year celebrations like Messy Day, Math Reward Day, and kind of got their input on what they would like to see. So they're really helping out, really stepping up, lots of great ideas, and so I'm excited to see what they continue to do. I also would like to shout out Mrs. Holtschneider. In kindergarten, it's a big deal for every single kid to know all of their letters. I'll tell you, as a past kindergarten teacher, that's very hard to do, and every single child in her class knows all of their letters, both uppercase and lowercase. So I am just so proud of her and all of the hard work she's put in. That's a really big deal in kindergarten, so I'm just very thankful for the extra hard work she's done to make that achievable and possible for them. We've been celebrating them at morning assemblies, and I got to go in and celebrate with their class as well. It's just really cool to see all the hard work they're putting in. For culture, our staff are continuing to meet each morning for quick morning happy moments where we just celebrate each other's accomplishments, both professionally and personally, and it's just been a good time to just connect as a staff every morning. We're also planning several events. It's kind of our busy season at the elementary. We're planning our spring title event, which is Breakfast with Buddies. That's what the milk and juice will be used for, and that's coming up on March 6th, so we're excited to welcome families in. Last year, we had a record-breaking year with over 300 families coming in and out, 300 people coming in and out for that event. Also in March, coming up on March 5th, we have Kindergarten Roundup, so we're excited to welcome our newest Wildcats into our building, and followed by kindergarten screening on March 9th. So busy time. We'll also have in March our PTO. It used to be Fall Festival, but we moved it to the spring, so we're excited to do that event as well. And then in February, our staff got together to decorate cookies just as a team building activity. For instruction, we've still really been focused on incorporating more of those cooperative learning opportunities for our students. I have seen a rise in this lately, especially with our classrooms who are piloting some of those ELA resources. They are actually built into the lessons. Our kids are having deeper discussions than I've ever had them heard them have before, and it's just been really fun to watch. So I'm excited to see what that pilot team kind of decides with. We did meet with our reps from one of the companies today. We'll meet with another one on Monday, just checking in, asking all the questions that we need to ask, and just learning some more. So we had a really good time doing that. We're continuing to look in grade level team meetings at the student level data thoroughly to make sure all of our kids are prepared and we're hitting any missing skills. That combined with iReady will tell us a lot, and then just assessments in the classroom. So far, it's given us a lot of good data at the student level. You will also find in your packet, in just a minute we'll talk about it, iReady data from the beginning of the year till the middle of the year. So we'll talk about that in just one moment, but I also wanted to say Ms. Wagner and I had a chance to go to a Tier 1 conference this past weekend. We learned a lot. We're going to bring some things back to our staff to try at that Tier 1 level with all of our kids, and I've already seen her implementing some things in the classroom, and it's been going really well, so I'm super excited to see how that takes off across our whole entire community. So like I said, you have all the iReady data. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I know the last time we talked, we were kind of interested to see if testing in iReady in December was going to make much of a difference from last year we tested in January. It was honestly pretty spot on with our data. We saw pretty even across the board, so it didn't make too much of a difference. We did see some areas go up. Of note, kindergarten was up quite a bit in their growth from this year to last year, and from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year, they almost doubled their progress of kids in green. So again, that's a really big area to highlight. They've been putting in some hard work. All of our teachers have. I think with looking at the math data, it's going to take us a few years until kids have had it consistently for several years for us to see those huge jumps that we want to see. Are there any questions I can answer about the iReady data or any of the things that presented?
Are we setting goals for like where we hope to see ourselves next
Yes.
year?
So, well, and each classroom is actually studying iReady goals. So as you walk the hallways, you'll see a lot of classroom teachers have some sort of, usually it's kind of seasonal themed iReady, and as kids are passing lessons at their individual rate, they're actually even highlighting and coloring in part of a picture of the goal they set. But then they also have some goals set as a class where they want to be. As of next year, I would hope we would see quite significant growth, but I do think, I just want to caution, it's probably going to take about 3-4 years before you see the huge jumps with the new math curriculum, because it's assuming that they have had it since kindergarten. So like our 4th graders this year, it's assuming they've had it since they've been in kindergarten, and this is their first year. So I do think we have to consider that when we're setting those goals. I do think it's going to take some time, but I think what we're seeing already with their critical thinking skills, I do expect it to take off in the next several years.
Right, so like the first measurement was for the overall building.
Yep.
Middle,
Yes.
beginning. So what I'm wondering is like, for us to gauge if iReady is actually working for us as a school district, what are our goals to see increases? Like, do we expect to see overall percentage? Like right now, I'm seeing a lot of yellow,
Sure.
which isn't bad.
Yes.
That
Yep.
means we're on target, but we want to see more green.
Absolutely.
So what percentage are we hoping to see each year increase to say that this is effectively working?
Sure. I guess my first question would be, do you mean iReady or our math curriculum?
Well, this is based on math and reading, right?
Sure,
So
yes.
Just,
So what I was looking for, and to see if there's any trends when we have a tier 1 resource that the whole building's using, are we gonna see that go up? And I think the answer is gonna be yes. So I would personally be more interested or what I'm looking for is our curriculum working based off the iReady. So I think that's a great, thing that my leadership team and I can sit down and set a goal.
So I think what she's asking, and we talk about this a little bit, 1 to 3% is nominal or negligible growth. You could kind of get there and maybe do something accidentally, maybe have a couple kids because we're small. So I think what she's looking for is more like we're shooting for 5% growth in each area, kind of a tangible objective.
I would want to meet with my building leadership team first before I set a goal, but I would say realistically 5 to 10%, especially towards that end of that 3-year mark, 10% for sure at minimum.
yeah, I'm just
is what I would
interested
like to
because
see.
I knew we switched over to this. So to
Yes.
gauge that, like, this is actually working for our district, our school, what are we measuring it to? Because there's a lot of data here, so how
Sure.
are we applying it?
Yes, yeah, I could see that for sure. And I do know Evaluate was a great tool that measured monthly versus 3 times a year. However, we cannot use at the elementary level to evaluate anymore. It's not on the state's approved list. So in that sense, it was nice to have the monthly data, but then also you worry about over-testing your kids. So I will definitely get with my building leadership team and we'll set a goal. But that would be somewhere in the range that I would expect for the first year, and I would expect it to go up quite significantly by that 3rd-year mark of having a new curriculum due. Any other questions?
I think this information is really interesting, and I like seeing the positive improvement.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. I went back and saw where we were last year too and looked at those scores. So I think we are steadily improving, not as much as we would like to see. I would say not quite to that 5 to 10% mark yet, but I think we could get there in the next few years.
It's important to remember that as our kids are learning that curriculum too, so is our staff learning that curriculum. And we are packing a lot more into an instructional day than we ever have before. And to be frank, some of our staff are struggling to implement all of the components with fidelity. And there'll be a bit of a learning curve for them also.
Yes, and I would say especially with iReady specifically as a tool, our kids struggle a little bit in K1, just figuring out how to use it. Because a lot of times if you're not, like our teachers are up walking and trying to monitor it, but if they don't know they have to scroll down to hit the next button, sometimes they're just clicking things. And so that's a learning experience for our youngest ones too. So we also hope by doing the iReady My Path for reading and math, where they get on every day, that will kind of help familiarize them. And the more years we do that as well, the more growth we'll see as they learn the tool a little bit better. But kindergarten 5 to 6-year-olds sometimes have a hard time navigating, especially the Chromebooks now. So, any other questions? Okay.
Thank you very much. Superintendent report.
I'll hit the highlights. We're pretty excited. A few of our head coaches are heading over to St. George tomorrow to speak with St. George kids about activity programs here, not just at the high school, but kind of K-12, just tell them what they're about, but mostly focused on when they come over to us in high school. So we're pretty excited to continue that partnership. In terms of providing a safe school environment to learn, we did get our license plate reader in out on our stadium press box. So that is fully functional, up and running. A few things that'll help us do is identify, we have some folks who come on campus. We had the theft earlier this year. It allows us we'll get notices if we have issues with individuals that maybe shouldn't be here or been criminal trespass warned. It'll actually send us an email or a text so that we can take care of that concern. We have a few positions we'll be hiring in closed session. I do feel pretty good about this year. Of particular note with you guys, I think this week alone, and just this week, I've received 2 texts from former teachers that worked with me that just said, Bob, do you have anything that's not in a classroom? And I know we have a staff member or 2. And I guess the point in my sharing that with you is teachers are tired, struggling with behaviors quite a bit. What we're seeing even in our superintendent group is we have quite a few folks that would just like any place outside of a classroom right now. I don't think that's necessarily an issue for us or a large issue at this point, but I think it's coming that way. Honestly, we have one really good teacher that, if we had a counselor position or a library position, would immediately stay with us, but they're gonna, hopefully they'll be with us next year, but in order for me to hope that, I have to hope what they're looking for they don't find either, and that's always tough. So we'll continue to battle that staffing front. Like Ms. Otto said, flu has hit us. We've been doing pretty well, but here in the last week and a half, we have dipped down to about 85%. Don't forget, this is spring conference time, so I think I have MASSA, MARE, MSBA, you name it. So mostly finance, policy, law, and then legislative sessions. A lot of that. I usually don't attend very much of that, to be completely honest with you, because it takes up a lot of time. But I'm keenly interested in what legislation is coming through and budget and finance, because I strongly suspect we're going to be in a difficult position with state funding here as we get closer to summer. Facilities, we'll talk about the highlights here in another discussion section. We are finishing up basketball. We'll be hosting sectionals on the 2nd and 3rd, and we're going to continue looking for opportunities to do that. Planning for spring track and baseball now. As I said, in area of budget and finance, I am skeptical of state funding. I strongly believe that they'll fully fund the formula. Still has to make it through appropriations. That's an important distinction. Just because they fully fund it doesn't mean that they're going to give you all the money through appropriations. I do suspect a shortfall with transportation. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that, when they say they're going to fund fully transportation, full funding is 75% of costs. They don't give you all of your costs. Full is considered 75%. I'm very leery of that, and I know that programs across the state have been asked to look for room in those terms. We are planning budget for 26-27, spent all day here Monday, and then here in our office, we're doing our budget predictions already, and I'll keep you guys updated with that. A particular note, we'll be looking at our transportation contract next year. Just a quick review of what we're looking at this year based off 6 years ago when we did the contract then in 2020. You're looking at about a 35% increase to transportation costs. You're looking at a difference of $1 a mile for an activity. That's a huge difference. That means it's an extra $50 per trip just to Jefferson City and back. So I'm anticipating some increased activity costs there also. I'll be paying attention to finance workshops quite a bit and getting as much as I can. A lot of that, honestly, going in, finishing up year 4, I'm trying to read the other superintendents in the room. I'm trying to read the presenter to see how optimistic they really are, to see if they even believe what they're saying. So every year we'll work to overestimate our expenditures, underestimate our revenues, and keep us in a conservative position.
Questions?
I had a couple. So the discipline that you had mentioned, is there anything that we as the school board need to be looking at for our policies to help support, like the teachers, the school, the students, to readdress?
I think our policies and our procedures are strong, but I think where we've maybe wavered in the past, or when governing boards, or even I as a superintendent or a principal would have wavered in the past, is it can be really difficult to hold a kid accountable, because in our nature, we're about second chances, and we know kids are growing, but we have to draw a line at some point. And if I could ask you for anything, it would be consistency in supporting. If we have a student that is consistently assaulting other students, at some point, they're going to be at a discipline placement. At some point, They need to stay at home with their parents. And so if I could ask for anything, it's not for you to throw your heart out or your sympathy or empathy for a family. It's to understand that before we get to those points, we've talked to the student. We've done a little bit of everything. We've begged, we've questioned, we've rewarded, we've brought the parents in, we talked about what we can do, we brought additional professionals in, we've lined out some support plans, and that's not working. And so we're getting to that portion of our discipline continuum, and it's time for there to be a consequence and some accountability there. Oftentimes you'll get some pushback with parents because they need, and honestly I'm sympathetic of parents because I don't believe they want their student to go to school and then get a call and have to pick them up. And so that's interrupting their job. It's putting pressure on the family unit. And so, no good deed goes unpunished. We're gonna wanna do our best to help them as much as we can, but at some point we're to the OSS and alternative placement, which we'd rather not do. It costs us about $3,000 a month per student for an alternative placement. That's a lot of money. I'd rather have them here because I think they're better with us. But we have some students that try and, we've had a student try and chuck another student over the rail from the first floor to second floor. We've had students throw computers and hit other kids, just run around the room and hit other kids in the back of the head. And we're trying to draw a line at what point we can support that student to engage them in learning, but at the point where they're really disrupting and keeping other students from learning and inhibiting our ability to have a safe environment for others is where we're taking a hard line. That's not very popular. And oftentimes you guys are gonna get kind of one side of that. Actually, I feel sorry for you because it is a tough job not knowing all the details.
Sounds like we need to bring back the old wooden ruler.
You can't say that.
The only other thing I was gonna question, because I'm sorry if you read around, but what is the LCTA chapter? I don't know that I'm familiar with that.
So as part of MSTA, they have a teachers association, a teachers group, and it is kind of like a collective group to represent teachers at large with their preferences, so to speak. So if they're more interested in, say, salaries or benefits, sometimes you can break them out into committees. You have a lot of different latitude, or we do anyway, about how we utilize that or how we partner with them. But it's essentially the same thing that it was 10 years ago. It kind of died out, maybe about the COVID time. And trying to reconstitute that chapter. It's just a teacher interest
Mr.
kind of
James,
group, I would say.
Could I speak to that?
Is that the pleasure of the board?
I'm probably gonna ask that you speak to Bob separately on that one.
All I was gonna say, it was in existence 50 years ago.
Sure.
And it was very active.
Could I make a comment?
Sure,
Aye.
absolutely.
Excellent organization. Doesn't have to be tied to MSTA, but it can. They're really good about helping with the bylaws and different things. We have bylaws and we have a full setup on that. So I think it's fantastic. It's coming back. It gives the teachers a voice and kind of, and also in the past we put together committees like Mr. James said about like salary and other types of committees to let the teachers be involved.
Is it just, sorry, I don't know it, so you guys have to forgive me, but the chapter, is it just our teachers here for this school, or is this like for the whole, everywhere in the state of Missouri, and they, oh, just for our school?
Just
Okay.
for-
Yeah.
Okay.
There's MSTA and MNEA,
Okay.
teacher organizations that are statewide and are national.
Okay.
Further questions? All right, very good. Discussion, summer school date.
Just wanted to give a quick update to that as a reminder, because it's going to be a little bit different this year. We're still going the 9th to the 19th, but we're going to have a couple of longer weeks to accommodate the county fair, June 11th and then 12th. So we're going to shift that instructional time, have a couple of those preceding Mondays that week and the week prior to maintain continuity. No other changes are proposed, but we will need to pay particular attention other summer activities because we'll be redoing the parking lot like screenings and roundups. maybe off-site due to parking and parking lot limitations. So look for that. Actually, you're on my list to reach out to for a point of contact across the street. So if maybe we could do a screening over there, we thought about maybe reaching out. Eric's gonna reach out to Community Christian, see if we might be able to use some space for them to do those screenings and roundups.
All right. Bond project.
Hey, wait, can I ask one more question? I'm sorry, I'm full of questions tonight. My brain is on overdrive. Data-wise, since we had data with iReady, my head was thinking about our 4-day school week, because I feel like this has been in cycle and conversations, and so it had me thinking, are we tracking by chance what our attendance looks like when we have our random days in session on Mondays? Like, are we seeing it a decrease, increase? Is it the same? Is that not a problem? 2, how many of our disciplinary issues are occurring more late in the afternoon because we are having longer days? Are we seeing an impact because of that? And then the third one is because I heard we've had lots of concerns with teachers being out, you know, just trying to find substitutes. Are we noticing, because of the longer days, more staff fatigue? You know, like, what is our attendance looking like towards the end of the year? Is it decreasing because of all of this? And I'm just curious if we're keeping track of all this, so that long-term wise, if it ever comes to us needing to decide between 4 and 5 day week, we're basing it on actual, like, this is something we really need to consider. We are seeing blah, 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 whatever it is. So just a thought, since we were talking about the calendar.
So a couple things I would say. Mondays are normalized now, so you really don't see much of a spike there. Across the board, attendance is an issue for us. I think, honestly, I'd have to look. It's been a little while, but I think our student attendance may be better at times than our staff attendance. As far as late in the afternoon, that's pretty common most of the time, because students take their medication in the morning and it wears off in the afternoon. So that would be a chicken and an egg thing, or we'd have to parse out through causality. But in general, you will always see more, not long day, short day, you'll always see more discipline issues in the afternoon, just simply because of fatigue. If we got out at, say, 2:45 instead of 3:45, it would just shift, or it would skew the statistics. But no matter what, it's always kind of later in the day. But I do think that is a large conversation 4 to 5 days. That would take a lot more than
Yeah, and I don't know that I'm
short
leaning
comments.
either way, but I was just, since we were looking at the calendar for next year, and I know it's been brought up before, I was wondering, what are we doing to track some of the information? You know, so that we aren't last minute trying to make a decision just based upon emotions, so.
So part of what we do in looking at our attendance data and our discipline data, we don't look for things. We let our data tell us where there are issues, if that makes sense. So you'll see spikes, like for instance, Thursdays and Fridays, you generally are gonna see a spike. Early on Monday or Tuesdays for us, you'll see a little bit of a spike there. It'll kind of lean out Tuesday, Wednesday, but then Friday kids are tired. So that you're gonna see that in every class. So we don't necessarily look for those things. What we do is we look at our data and we just look at where it's abnormal. And then we begin asking questions. Why do we believe that that's happening? And I don't think there's anything that lends itself specifically to the 4 or 5 day week, other than, I think, just common sense would probably tell us a little bit shorter day for attention spans. And, you know, as a math teacher, I was always looking for opportunities for repetition as a math teacher. So I'm just speaking for myself, not necessarily what the data says. And so, do you lose one more opportunity? Yes. But I can also tell you in superintendent meetings that folks that are currently on a 5 day week and competing for staff they're asking me, you know, what is it? They believe, their gut tells them that it does something for them, and they feel like they might be losing, whether their data shows that or not, I have no idea, teachers to 4 day weeks. And so as we discuss, potentially, if we were to discuss going to a 5 day week, then, you know, I don't know what the staffing impact would be, honestly. That's my big, you know, we have an opportunity, I think, with academics. But if you don't have the very best teachers you can have in the classroom, you could have them 6 days in the week and you'd lose ground. Great questions.
Any other questions? All right, let's go to bond projects, HVAC field
All
house.
right, field house HVAC is complete, staff training is done. It's performing well. The final invoice will be paid this month. I think it might be in the checks. Baseball and softball improvements are progressing. The backstop project, the backstop itself is in, but we're about delayed 2 or 3 weeks due to a vendor issue with the blocks. So we're gonna have some minor scheduling adjustments, trying to work that out with coaches and some of our early games now. We're still gonna try and mash the gas and get that done, but I don't know that we will. I do know that we've something to consider. We started doing the backstop and just the dugouts. But once we did the backstop, we realized that the overhead cover had to come out in order to put the backstop in. So we've essentially doubled our scope for softball and baseball. It's gonna look terrific. I think our kids in our community are gonna be very proud of it, but we've doubled our scope, and so our contractors are responding to that timeline. It will not be 100% done. You know, we'll have concessions ready, for instance, but press box upstairs, that probably won't have drywall. They'll probably have a microphone for the PA, but they'll have a folding table instead of a counter, and, you know, some things won't be built in quite at that point, but it'll look good, and I still think it'll be a good experience for our players and our patrons, but we'll be working on that throughout the season. Concrete flat work deficiencies have been formally confirmed and measured. Legal review is under the way. I sent another response earlier today. It took 3 days short of 5 months for the subcontractor to actually send out a representative. They use a 10-foot straight edge, no more than a 1/4 inch deviation over that 10-foot. Their person, you know, I didn't talk to him directly about it because he looked pretty frustrated, but he looked frustrated and he looked very embarrassed. Myself and Dr. Genowine actually went out and looked because I didn't recognize the symbol on the door, watched him do that, and that straight edge, when I did it with the 6 or 7 foot level, there was some pretty big gaps. That straight edge was popping up into the air on one end or the other, sometimes an inch or two, well out of spec. I'm looking for, we'll be meeting on that Monday, and I'm very curious to see what their new map looks like as far as corrective measures. I think closer to the board office, I think that was done reasonably well. That was a little bit different pour, but as we come through the entrance and go all the way to the corner, maybe even halfway down the weight room, we're gonna have to tear out a lot of concrete there. And so I'll let you know as we make progress on that, but I'm looking forward to Monday's construction meeting to see what they're gonna present to us as a corrective option.
Questions on any of those?
Just a comment, if they asked to grind it, I wouldn't entertain that at all.
I thought it
It'll
would
open
show
up
all
the-
the gravel underneath, wouldn't it? If
Well,
they
it
grind.
opens up the aggregate and then it's just gonna let all the salt go in and it'll tear up. It'll deteriorate faster, so,
Well, they would have to grind it so deep.
yeah, I just wouldn't entertain it if that's
I
what they're
mean,
bringing up.
if you got 1.5 inch deflection in a board, they're gonna have to grind at least that much out of it, and then you're,
Right.
you know, we paid for 8 inches of pavement, we're gonna get 6.5.
I took a picture today after it rained, you know, because we had rained and then we had pretty good weather, and there were quite a few.
Bird baths.
Yeah, there were quite a few bird baths out there, probably about 6 or 8 of them. Unfortunately for us, that will disrupt some of our screenings and our roundups because we're gonna have to close down that entrance and do some work here this summer. But I think we'll have an opportunity to partner with a few folks in the community. We'll communicate as well as we typically do, and I think it'll be fun.
All right, any other questions? All right, a lot of good progress happening. Oh, is the AC actually on, or is it all the ductwork installed?
No,
in the
it's
field
fully
house?
functional at
It's
this
fully
point.
functional?
Yep.
Felt
Nice.
like it was on the other night.
Good deal.
Yeah, it could have been. It actually looks pretty good. It's unassuming. I wasn't quite sure about that, the duct sock thing, but I think I'm a believer after that. We're gonna work it, we're gonna try and work it through the spring, work the bugs out. Aaron can't present, but we talked about this morning in our meeting, you know, we're gonna have the coolest graduating class in 2026 that we've ever had. I'm looking forward to
Did you
delivering.
check the field house for drainage too?
Drainage?
Like every time it would rain, there would be water spots.
We're looking pretty good with roof wise, but I'll tell you, we're about to install those ice breaks over the summer. And so let's wait until after they're in and we've had a rain before I tell you we've solved that completely.
You don't know what rainouts are. The old roof.
Yeah.
We actually had a rainout the first year I was here.
For graduation?
Yeah, inside.
Indoors.
It took at St. George.
All right, action items, health insurance.
I have not been looking forward to this conversation all week, and I've not looked forward to it because of what I've got to recommend. This is probably my least favorite recommendation. Health insurance rates have went up 8.5%. Our association, the OSBA, has actually mitigated increases quite a bit. For 3 years, we didn't get an increase at all. We had a very small increase last year. We spent about $50,000-ish covering that cost this year. If we were to cover the increase again, that's an additional $45,000. We only have one of our HSA accounts, or we do have one of our HSA accounts. It's a high deductible that is covered at our current $549.41. If we were to cover similarly, like I was saying, it would be just short of about $50,000. Normally, typically, I would say, well, let's work to make sure that we don't pass that on. But I'm also planning to make minimum base salary this year, and that will cost us no less than $200,000. And if the operating levy doesn't pass, we will incur $200,000 in additional costs. This would put us at $250,000. We haven't, the formula is the same as it was last year, and it's not going to increase. We're not going to get more money. And so in prioritizing, do I recommend covering this health insurance rate, which would be about $40 on the low side, I think about $53 on the high side at an increase, which I hate passing on to anyone. But if we cover that, that takes about 25% of my effort to $40,000 for teacher base salary, and I don't think I'll make it if we cover everything. And I guess if I were to say, if every increase is always covered by us, I don't think I'm going to be able to continue making base salary increases. And without the very best teachers that we have in the classroom, can possibly have in the classroom, we're doomed before we begin. And I cannot stress this enough. Moving them to 40 just ties us for last place. It is the minimum base salary. I've used this example in other discussions. Minimum wage is not intended, air quotes, to support a family. It's for entry-level jobs, right? Well, we are on a minimum operating levy, and I think we've done really good. We went from 32.5 to 37. We've covered all health care increases. We've increased our stipends. We've become competitive, done facilities work. We've caught up our maintenance, all on that minimum. But now we still have $3,000 just to get to this year's minimum base salary. And starting in 27-28, that'll increase 3% every year, whether we like it or not. And that's a $100,000 increased financial economic burden to us every year, whether we want it or not. So if our AV gives us another $100,000, it's already spent. The first $100,000 from there on forward, we won't be able to do anything with. That has to be. And I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing in making sure that we're competitive with our base salary, but it is still a reality that we have to deal with. And so at this point, while our health insurance rates will go up about $40 or $50 a month, moving that base salary to at least $40,000, if we pass the operating levy, then it'll be 41.2, and we'll move our classified schedule, and that'll cover these costs. We won't actually cover the health insurance, but they'll get an increase. But without it, we have to prioritize. Which one do you want me to do? Move the base salary or cover all health insurance costs? And I don't feel great about not recommending that we do, but I can only spend $1 once. I can't spend it twice.
So you're saying all employees would see an increase of $40 to $53 per month.
If they elect, and we have, about 75 out of 95 of our
Or like
employees
insurance.
that have
So they'd
health
see that much
insurance.
coming out of their check.
Yes.
But if we would pass the levy, we would revisit it.
Oh, if we would pass the levy, well, I would just move, well, we can't move it because we get into a window with OSBA, but their salary would go up. Does that make sense? Their salary would go up and would cover the insurance costs, but not necessarily our contribution, because open enrollment would be done. Our contract for OSBA, we set that contribution, and all of our contracts are based off our contribution. I don't think we can revisit that in the middle, is what I'm saying.
But you could revisit the deduction you take out of checks.
Maybe, I'll find out, I'll figure out, I think I know what you're asking. Let me get back to you with some options there, should that operating pass, how we can mitigate the cost. In my mind, right now, our classified salary schedule is based off of a formula, which is based on the minimum base salary. There, it would go from 37 to 40, so our classified make a percentage of our teacher's base. As the teacher's base goes up, their wage goes up. What we've been doing is staggering that so that we move teachers up, but then we leave our classified at the last base salary, and then the next year, we move the classified up. Does
Okay,
that-
yeah, maybe I didn't make myself clear. We'd revisit the increase on the health and the contribution the employee's taking for health insurance.
We have to give that to OSBA every year, and they're very adamant about being certain of what our contribution is. So I'll ask them, what would happen if we just wanted to give more? Maybe it's totally possible. I've never asked them. I've never been in
Oh,
that
so that
situation.
the employee directly pays, well, no,
We have to tell them, so something about our contract requires us to tell them what the employer contribution is. I don't know the entanglement
okay.
that they're under, but I'll find out.
Okay.
Kevin's a good guy who'll answer any
From a
questions.
timing standpoint, if the bond issue would pass, the new health insurance rates don't take effect till
Next year.
July 1 or January 1.
Actually, it's, health insurance is like August or September, somewhere in that
It
neighborhood.
starts over July 1.
So it starts, but the payment would come out August 1 perhaps?
That would be the difference, yes.
Okay, all right. Questions on that? Discussion? Something nobody wants to do. I mean,
No,
we're going
no.
from employees don't, if they're on the minimum, and there's some fairly rich plans that employees can select, but if you're in the high deductible HSA as an employee, you don't pay, right now, we cover everything for that employee,
We
but not for
cover
family or
the
anything else.
two-ish, depending on which side, HSA or PPO, we cover the two currently highest deductible plans on either side. So you can get just insurance for you and have a couple of plans to choose from. Under our current, you would only have one on each side that would be completely covered by us if we maintained our current contribution while the increase happens. So there is an option for them, but their deductible will increase as a result. So they'll have more out-of-pocket expenses as they go through the year.
Sure. So, I mean, I do agree, it's something we don't wanna do, but we can't get ourselves, we can't go back in time where we got ourselves in trouble and reduce our fund balance. So, and hopefully this is a short-term issue for us.
I hope it's a completely different discussion in April, because depending on if our operating levy passes, I'll have to, not really reinvent our budget, but it'll change the salary and benefit side of it greatly, and that's about 80% of our costs, 76, 80%, depending on.
Other questions, discussion?
To give you an idea of how quickly things swing, we have had a significant increase in special education students. Well, that means it's gonna cost us about 50,000. So between that, like that's not really under our control, you can't predict it, and this, if we cover that, we just went back $100,000 that quickly. And that's about 1 1/3 fund balance points, just that fast. I am hopeful. Our enrollment went up though. I mean, we're looking at a more robust enrollment, so here in a month or two, I'll project our ADA, and that may help get us some funds also. But then we're also waiting for, you know, legislature's gonna have to pass, and then the governor's gonna have to sign our budget.
Yeah,
all
and,
the way.
you know, that's, unfortunately, I mean, you hear the same rumors I hear, which is, the budget chairs in the House and Senate are looking for more money. And elementary, secondary education, higher education are two of the easiest places to take it from, so I fully expect we'll both get hit.
I think so too.
And so you need to protect yourself from that.
We're very healthy right now, and we can take a hit for several years, but how quickly do you want to expend any amount of cushion that you have? And I think state budget is precarious enough that we should, where bigger chunks of money are concerned, we should do what we can if we can.
All right. Could I get a motion to approve the 26-27 health insurance rates?
I make a motion to approve the 26-27 health insurance rates.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. 26-27 calendar.
The proposed calendar had a teacher group and an administrator group that looked at that. It actually exceeds DESI's instructional requirements while preserving our district's no makeup day buffer. And so those 60 hours that we have embedded. It also addresses a very late Labor Day start. So that first Monday's coming at us late because the first is a Tuesday. So it pushes us just as late as we can. 131 districts applied for an exception. I did not predict they would be successful, and they weren't. I saw the early language on response from that, and the state does not consider severe circumstances in the same light or perspective that school districts do. But we are extending instructional time slightly, front-loading professional development. I think it'll improve implementation. Some of our adjustments will balance the semesters more evenly and maintain a consistent parent-teacher conference structure. And I think overall the calendar reflects staff input, instructional priorities, and our student learning needs. So I would recommend approving the draft.
Questions?
I just have a suggestion, because I feel like I've seen it all over Facebook here lately. I think because families are preparing for vacations, lots of questions in relation to what week is the, like no sports, school
that
activity.
week. That
So
week.
just a suggestion, if we could maybe share that, because like I said, I'm surprised at how many people I've seen asking, when is that week? Or
Can we get
regional.
that on social media, and we'll send it out
Yeah.
as a text caster that just says, hey, if you're interested in getting ready for a vacation, here's a dead week, so you can plan.
Perfect.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the 26-27 calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the 26-27 calendar.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be March 19th, 2026. I would like an adjournment, or a motion to adjourn to closed session.
I move we adjourn to closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021, ASD subsections, personnel actions, personal identifiable student information, legal actions involving public body and or privileged communications among the body, its representatives or attorneys.
Well done. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, anything else? Roll call vote. Brad? Lori?
Yes.
Naomi?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.